Hello, my name is Angela Clayton, and I am going to give you some insight, some background on the Greenwood District, also known as the Black Wall Street. All right, so to give you just a little bit of background as to why there were black townships, right after the Civil War, many previously enslaved black Americans were given their freedom. However, staying in the South was not advantageous for many of these people. So there was a large migration of Black Americans up north, out west, and as a result, many Black townships were established. Oklahoma had the largest concentration of these towns, with more than 50 being set up, and Greenwood in Tulsa actually became like the beacon, the black township that other towns looked to model themselves after. So once considered the Black Wall Street, Greenwood District was known as a self-sustaining community. There were so many different businesses set up, multiple churches, schools, homes, hotels, just so much there that the town itself was provided everything needed for the citizens. There was no need to go elsewhere. There was no need to be dependent on white towns or services from white people that you might not even receive because you were black. This was a vision that was held by O.W. Gurley. Once Greenwood was established and at its height, in its heyday, there were about between 10 and 11,000 citizens. And this town and towns like Greenwood provided a safe haven. They provided a place where Black Americans could do and be all that, they wanted to, as far as what was considered an American dream at that time, and do it in a safe way and in the best way possible for themselves. O.W. Gurley purchased about 40 acres, and this was land that was very close to a Native American territory. And so during that time, many of these towns were either right next to or just very close to Native American areas. And Native Americans and Black Americans worked very closely together during this time. But Mr. Gurley had a dream. He had not just a dream, he had a plan. And his goal was to establish a town that provided and met all the needs for Black Americans who desired to come there. Dr. Michael Carter, a historian, basically stated that in this town you had wealthy, middle class, poor Blacks all living on the same block. And many of those poor individuals who lived there didn't stay poor. So you might have been a part of the working class, but then you received either education or you maybe developed some skills that allowed you to start a business, become an entrepreneur. And the people in the town worked collectively together towards this. There was never no, I need you to stay over here in your place. No, come on, you come with me. You're not going to stay there because that's not what this town does. We're here to uplift one another. J.B. Stratford was another prominent citizen of Greenwood. He started a hotel. There was, several other things that he did. He was an attorney, started the first Black library in that area. Like Mr. Gurley, he believed in providing opportunity, that he knew Black Americans are capable. Black Americans can do and be the best version of themselves if given a chance. And so that's what he did with his time, efforts, and finances. Dr. A.C. Jackson has been called the best Negro surgeon in America by the Mayo Clinic. And I have to believe that he earned that, because I can't imagine what Dr. Jackson had to do in order to develop the skills and obtain the education necessary, not just to become a doctor, but to become a neurosurgeon, which is so specific and such a really incredibly difficult specialty. Unfortunately, he died during the riots and during the destruction of Greenwood, was not doing anything but peacefully trying to surrender himself, and was shot dead.
Between the 1870s and the beginning of World War I, Black pioneers settled more than 100 all-Black towns in the West, each with the goal of economic independence. Among the most well-known was a Black district in Tulsa, Oklahoma, known by its residents as Greenwood.
If we were to go back in time to 1920 and walk up and down Greenwood Avenue, one thing that would probably strike us is the absolute variety of businesses. The numbers are astonishing. 30 restaurants, 45 groceries and meat markets. There were dry goods stores, milliners, photography studio, dental offices. Greenwood is no longer called Greenwood. It's now known as Black Wall Street.
This whole idea of self-containment really existed there. The dollar would stay in that community sometimes over 3-5 years before it ever went outside of the community.
And I really like what the last
Between the
gentleman talked
1870s
about,
and the
that the money, the dollar in Greenwood stayed in Greenwood. So if you went and purchased services or goods at a business, that money was used at another business or purchased another service within that same community. So they were truly creating wealth amongst themselves, with each other, helping each other to create wealth. Some of the businesses from the Greenwood district, the Stratford Hotel that I discussed or talked about earlier, that was opened by J.B. Stratford. It was considered to be a premier establishment, like it was a hoity-toity, fancy hotel, probably for the upper class who either lived in Greenwood or maybe were coming through visiting Greenwood. Luella and John Williams were another prominent family in Greenwood, had several different businesses, but one of their biggest ones was the Dreamland Theater, which seated 750 people and showed silent films as well as had live stage performances. The Tulsa Star, which was started and owned by A.J. Smitherman, was not just a newspaper that provided information about things taking place in Greenwood. It's how the citizens of Greenwood were informed about what was happening in America, what was happening around the world. It also provided a great deal of information that helped protect Black Americans at this time, because for Mr. Smitherman, he was an activist. That is what he was first and foremost. And so the newspaper he started in Greenwood was a tool to help keep that going. Susie Bell was a restaurant owner. She had the Bell Cafe, which was kind of like the Stratford Hotel, probably for the upper echelon. Served 6-course meals, just very upscale. Right here, an advertisement that the Bell Cafe is for nice things to eat. We lead and others follow. Meals and short orders, courteous treatment, and prompt service to all. Unfortunately, Greenwood didn't stay the way that it was at its height because of essentially a massacre. Just white mobs being incredibly violent towards the citizens and the businesses in that area. It all started from a story that's told about a young man named Dick Rowland, he's a teenager, he was accused of assaulting a young white girl who was an elevator operator at the time. And stories are conflicting, as expected to be, because you've got a retelling from the white town, retelling from the black town, and their stories do not align. He was arrested, and there were rumors that he would be lynched. So as a result, many of the Greenwood citizens came to the courthouse looking to protect him, and were told to leave, that no, you're not going to do that here. And some fights broke out, and gunfire. There's a story that a gun was accidentally shot off, and that led to lots of shooting from both sides. Ultimately, many of the citizens of Tulsa, white citizens, became angry enough to form mobs and just basically went through the town of Greenwood and destroyed it. They looted out of the businesses and homes, set fire pretty much to everything. There was nothing left once everything was said and done. Greenwood doesn't look like Greenwood did back when it was first established. There was a rebuilding. Many of the citizens came back and rebuilt their businesses, but many did not. There was trauma suffered. The gentleman that started the newspaper, Mr. Smithman, he actually moved, went to New York, started a different paper. Mr. Stratford never recovered any of his money, and just basically never was able to get back to where he was prior to the massacre. And the significance of Greenwood and the significance of the towns like Greenwood is that at one point in time in this country's history, Black Americans who were once enslaved and given no opportunity found a way and were able to establish safe havens and thriving towns and communities that were self-sustaining. And in that, it just wasn't protected. They were destroyed. History was hidden. Many people didn't know about it. I did not know about Greenwood until a few years ago, and have started learning about more towns and things that have happened across this country, like the story in Greenwood. But I did want to give you just some images and pictures of what Greenwood looked like about 25 to 30 years after the massacre. And there's no sound to this video. I'm not going to play all of this, but this is footage that was taken by, I believe, a pastor in the town, and it was recovered. And so feel free to take time and look at all those images. And I do appreciate your time. Thank you for listening to my presentation. And here are some links if you want to have access to more information, get further details. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.